In today's video, we'll be putting two of the richest families in an epic wealth showdown. And for this purpose, we've picked out the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. That's right, this video will discuss it all. Their net worth, all their assets, private jets, and luxurious cars. Stay tuned to see who wins this battle of the riches. First up, let's see what these families amount to when it comes to comparing their net worth. Let's talk about the Rothschild family first. As you probably already know, the Rothschilds are particularly famous for their economic influence. The family is practically a banking dynasty, the most famous one in Europe at that. So they're pretty good contenders in this showdown. We expect their side of the scale to be very heavy. It won't be much of a surprise if the Rockefellers fall short. But the opposition is here to play as well. According to Forbes, the Rothschilds have a net worth of over $500 billion. Yikes, does anyone even know how many zeros are in there? Their wealth comes from the 1,800 real estate properties they own across Europe, and other huge investments, including $14 billion worth of bitcoins. The family's annual income is estimated to be about $79 billion, along with $100 billion in investments from the stock market. They even have their own wine-making industry that controls 70% of the wine sold in Europe. Wow. It's expected that the family's net worth might just hit $1 trillion in the upcoming year. So the Rockefellers ought to watch out. But hey, they pretty much pose a tough competition as well. They, too, are a banking family with high interests in politics and industries. We're sure you've heard their name pop up in your high school history class more than one time. So let's see what they're worth. According to Forbes, their monthly income is about $5 billion, which approximately rounds up to $60 billion annually. Okay, falling a little behind there, but still more money than any one of us could ever imagine. The family has investments worth $83 billion, while their assets are around $244 billion. Their assets include over 1,600 real estate properties in the USA and South America, along with $75 billion worth of investments in both the US and European stock markets. Talk about not putting your eggs in the same basket. Even though their net worth has increased considerably over the past years, the Rockefellers still have a long way to go before they meet the Rothschilds. So we'll give the Rothschilds a point for this round. Now, we know that these families have several properties around the world. Let's take a look at who's got the most kick-ass real estate properties. First up, the Rothschilds. The family owns properties in several countries. And, of course, discussing all of them in detail is a whole other conversation, so here's an overview for you. The family has estates in Italy, Switzerland, Germany, France, Netherlands, Austria, England, and, of course, the United States. The total value of these properties is over $36 billion. Other than this, their publicly listed residencies are around 50, and some of them look like actual castles. The principal home of the Rothschilds is the Flint House, which occupies 5,500 acres in Buckinghamshire and was valued at $2 million at the time of its completion in 2015. Another main residence of the family is the Spencer House in London, which they leased from the 9th Earl Spencer for 96 years in 1986. This property is currently valued at around $40 million. Lastly, the Rothschilds also own an entire village known as Eathorpe in Buckinghamshire, along with several estates in the country. And if this wasn't enough, the family also owns 13 high-end luxury hotels and even some stud farms. Moving on to the Rockefellers. Well, the combined value of the real estate owned by them is $25 billion, which might seem little, but you should keep in mind that they are far less in number than the Rothschilds, which means that they're more expensive. The main residence of billionaire David Rockefeller at 146 East 65th Street in Manhattan was worth around $30 million while he lived there. Next, we've got Kikut, the Rockefeller estate. The massive 3,400-acre house with around 50 rooms and an art gallery has been turned over to the public, but you can imagine its value by the fact that its gallery features art pieces well over $30 million. The family owns about 14 luxury hotels, which gives them a slight advantage over their opponent, but not that much. So let's give the Rothschilds a point for that. The Rothschild family is particularly known for flaunting its expensive yachts. We can't talk about all the 55 yachts they own, but here are some pretty dope ones. In this category, we've got $102 million worth of Planet 9 yacht owned by Nathaniel Rothschild. This 300 square meter yacht has its club, spa, helipad, and even a 119-inch screen cinema. Wow, things aren't looking so good for the Rockefellers. Now, this family reportedly has 40 luxury yachts. Let's see if any of them can be compared to what the Rothschilds have. Rockefellers, it seems, are loyal customers of Hinckley yachts, since many of theirs is built by the yard. In 2009, David Rockefeller ended up getting a sixth yacht from the yard, which was a 55-foot Hinckley motor yacht. The value of this could easily go up to $4 million. Other than this, the primary Rockefeller family, it seems, didn't buy many luxury yachts. At least nothing compared to the Rothschilds, so of course the latter gets the point. Private jets. The Rothschilds seem to be leaving Rockefeller behind in this category as well. For comparison, we've picked Nathaniel Rothschild's $62 million private jet. This Bombardier Global 6000 can carry up to 17 passengers and allows for very comfortable flights with soundproof walls and in-flight internet access. The plane can fly up to 6,900 miles at the top speed of 590 miles per hour. Sounds pretty luxurious. Next, we've got the Rockefellers. Well, they've done a pretty good job of keeping their expenses a mystery, but we were able to find out that in the early 2000s, the family owned 3 private jets. These were first class and provided a luxurious journey to its passengers. The jets would now be valued at approximately $30 million each, but we still don't think that this can even be compared to the Rothschilds. There goes another point. Next up, we've got fancy cars. Victor Rothschild possessed a $7 million 1932 Bugatti Type 55 when he was just 22 years old. This car has a 4-speed manual transmission with 4-wheel cable-operated drum brakes, truly making it a unique drive. Another one of their expensive cars is the Hispano-Suiza J12, owned by Anthony Gustav de Rothschild. This car was manufactured for only a limited time from 1931 to 1938 and drove almost as fast as the fighter planes of that period. Now, let's see what the Rockefellers have got. Well, it seems like Nelson Rockefeller loved collecting cars. He had around 67 prized vehicles, which were sold after his death for more than $900,000. Another car that's still held onto by the family is J.D. Rockefeller's Crane Simplex Model 5 Tourer. This car was one of the most expensive automobiles of its time, and today, less than 40 are known to exist. Well, we reckon that the ambition of the Rockefellers takes this point. Influence. Now, we know that's not a tangible category, but influence is very important when it comes to big families. First up, let's see how many points can the Rothschilds gather in this category. Okay, so our research tells us that they're pretty big in the billionaires club. You know, the entire lot, Zuckerberg, Soros, and Bloomberg. Apart from this, their influence varies across the field through the business they own. The family has equity investments in 8 of the biggest financial institutions. Next, interestingly, despite being Jewish, the family is a part of the Vatican's close circle. Now, that's impressive, but does it earn them a point for this round? The Rockefellers, on the other hand, have strong political ties in America and are even closely associated with the British royal family. The family also has strong ties to the Vatican Church, dating back to the 1800s. All that's pretty cool, but we think that the point is truly deserved by the Rothschilds. It's finally time for the results. The Rothschild family is ahead of the Rockefellers. Now, from the results, it seems like Rothschilds are the obvious winners with 3 points. But it should be noted that most of the Rockefeller wealth has been hidden by the family trusts and by third-party fiduciary accounts. So for all we know, this might be very different.